Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Biz Talk Show. Today in the studio, I have my mentor, also the CEO of our agency, PRJT Z Talent. He's just like, without this guy's actually changed my life. So I'm really stoked to have him in the studio today. His name is Duke McKenzie. He's freaking awesome. He's an entrepreneur, dad. Duke, you've been in the digital media marketing business for a long time, so I want to dive into that, man. But thank you so much for taking the time today and being a guest on the show.
Well, first of all, Kyle, thank you. And I think that I'll pay you $5 for that intro. That was a very generous and great intro. No, I'm really happy to be here. You've been doing a really good job of it's been wonderful, all the content that you've been putting out and finding your podcast helpful and stuff like that. I know the clients love it and the people love it. So yeah, so excited to be here today. And this is my first podcast appearance in a while.
Yay, that's awesome. And you're one that I think a lot of people might not even know of, but this podcast episode right here is just going to be probably one of the most valuable ones I put out. And I'm just stoked to get started and talk about the things. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Me and you are constantly on the phone about different things. And I know that you're passionate about, especially influencer marketing, digital media, and talking about how there's certain things like dangers or of not taking this seriously right now. So talk to me, actually, before we jump into that, talk to me about your background, Duke. But because I know you, but other people might not know you. So you got to tell the people more about you.
About my background. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so and then I do want to hop in on the dangers after that, because that is actually one of the things that I do love talking about, because I think that people aren't putting this time in perspective. We always talk about that the future's coming, and they talk about all this change in the future tense, and I'm like, no, the future isn't coming, the future is here. It's here right now, and we have to sort of take it into account. But a little bit about my background. I am an entrepreneur. And how I got into the influencer space was I would say about 10 years ago, I started a company, and it was a blogging online ad network. And we ended up selling that ad network to Yellow Pages in Canada and AT&T in the AT&T partnership in the US. And one of the things that I did was I decided to invest in some e-commerce companies. And if you want to lose a couple $1 million, invest in e-commerce companies, because it's one of those things. E-commerce is one of those businesses where you either need to raise $1 billion or you need to raise zero money. And what was happening, there was a lot of, I invested in one of those opportunities that were a bit in the middle, right, where they didn't raise enough capital. And the model of that company was basically it was they would aggregate other people's products. So it was a female e-commerce company, so they'd aggregate DVF dresses and polo dresses and all of that type of stuff and sell them to their consumers. And one of the things that I realized after talking to Saks Fifth Avenue and everything to try and get an exit for this company was I'm like, wait 1 second. I'm like, okay. All of these companies, so Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, and all of those things, yes, you have better margins than me as a little online marketplace and a little e-commerce store, but your margins aren't 100% better than mine. You might get 10 or 15% better, but you're not 100% better than mine. But let's say your margins were 40% better. Even with those margins of 40% better, what would happen is that you're still not making any money. And this was about 10 years ago. And if that prediction has come out, if you've seen all the wreckage and carnage that's gone in the the retail industry, because the margins are too tight. So after I came to that conclusion, I said, well, therefore, I don't believe that this company will ever make any money. Basically with a traditional retail model. Well, what are the only things that work in retail? It's like, well, if we basically make our own brands, and as great as I think I am, no one's going to buy a brand just because I put my name on it or my face on it or anything like that. Right. So we said, okay, well, let's try and do. That was during the days of Beach Mint and Shoe Mint and whatever. A lot of these celebrity-driven brands where they would where they would use the celebrity's name and create capsule collections and clothing around it. And so I said, I went out and that was my first time going to LA about 8 years ago or so. And we signed a collection. We did capsule collections for a bunch of celebrities. So Nikki Hilton, Paris Hilton, this actress named Shane Mitchell. And the agent was so happy that he said, hey, let me throw in, why don't you do this capsule collection for this YouTuber? Let me just throw it in and, we'll go from there. And I kid you not, we launched the collections for everybody. And I kid you not, the YouTuber, I will never forget, it was a capsule collection. Her name was Essie Buttons at the time. I think she had 2 million people or something like that. The YouTuber literally sold 10 times more product than all of the other celebrities, like traditional celebrities combined.
Right.
And it was so dramatic. I remember I was at my son was really young at the time. I have a son and daughter, and they were really young at the time. And I was at their soccer game. And they were just Shopify stores that were launching. And I'm looking at all the pins on the Shopify store. And I'm like, there must be a problem because Essie Button store is selling so much more than all of the others. And I called Shopify and I'm like, is there a problem? And like, no, that's what it is. And so it was so dramatic. What I started doing is I said, okay, I need to go to LA and figure out what's going on. And I went. That's how I discovered YouTubers. That's how I cut my teeth. I started working with influencers in the YouTube space, and I realized when I went there at the time, there was this whole pool of talent, this different creator. They were creating like these videos and these mini TV shows and all of that stuff, attracting millions of people, and the infrastructure wasn't there to build and service them. So co-founded and created a YouTube talent management company that focused on digital YouTube creators, and we had a lot of success with that. The most notable, the company still does today, manage the largest YouTuber in the world, PewDiePie. And I would say November 2019, one of the big insights that I came across was I started seeing, I always say it's like I'm watching this movie again, because I started seeing the embrace of the short form creator in TikTok. And so then I started dedicating my life to TikTok creators. And that's how actually I connected with you. You were actually one of the first people I called, because I know that you work with and manage Jade.
Yep.
Right. Your daughter Jade, and she was the first TikToker that I started paying a lot of attention to, because she was active on LinkedIn as well. Right. And now that's where I was spending my time. So that's my story. That's basically a long-winded. I bet you didn't expect. You got to be more specific with your questions, because I like to give long-winded answers.
No, it's helpful because, excuse me, there's a lot of people that might be listening to this that, like, I know you, so we could just jump into a conversation, but there's most of the people don't know who you are. So I wanted them to give more of a back end story of who you are and why these topics are so important, but also coming from a validating source. Like, you've been in this, you've seen it, you've worked with the largest YouTuber in the world. We're now focusing on TikTok creators and doing that same approach. So, we see these industry changes, yet people are still not taking it as seriously as they should be. Like we talk about. So, you always mention that there's dangers and consequences to not taking this seriously. I love to talk more about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I think the biggest danger to, I would say, almost every business, all businesses right now, is that they are not taking influencer marketing and digital creators as seriously as they should. What they do is, because digital creators are powered, and independent producers are powered a lot by young people and youth, they kind of look at it, and they look at TikTok like, oh, these silly videos, or these YouTubers, and they look at it like not taking it seriously as the Oscars per se, where if I came to you to talk to you about the Oscars or something, they would take that production, and you talk to companies, oh, this is a great way I can reach my consumers or whatever, very seriously. And the reason why that is a massive mistake is that the attention of where people are spending their time in media, they're spending their time on three things. Spending their time on live events, so sports, that is capturing people's attention, and people aren't tuning out the commercials or whatever. They're spending their time on either I put PVRs and Netflix and all of that type of stuff. So I say skippable media. They're spending all of their time on skippable media because I don't like. You read the data, and I think the last thing I read is like 40% of consumers watch the commercials. I think that's a lie. I don't know. I would love to meet the person that watches a commercial on TV. I haven't seen someone that's done that. What most people do, even if the commercial is playing, is that they pick up their phone during commercial break if they can't fast forward for some reason, and they check it out. And then number three, the third, so it's the three forms of getting getting attention in this world: live sports, live or concerts, or live entertainment. Number two, the Netflix, but also PBR based media, right? Because no one watches things live anymore, and they fast forward all the commercials. And then number three, it's personality based entertainment, influencers. You are, what is shocking about the influencer media and what people don't realize is like, these people are reaching millions and millions and millions of people. Anyone under the age of 34, this is their primary form of entertainment, whether it's gaming, streaming, or watching that is. And businesses not taking it seriously. Like if you don't have 70% of your budget trying to engage these people or reaching those people, you're making a massive mistake because you're investing in the past. You could look, there's a chart that I have that I share when I'm talking to agencies. I'm like, okay, what I want you to do is I want to take a look at your media plan, like your media mix 5 years ago. Okay. And if you look at the media mix 5 years ago, you see slight changes in people investing more in like digital, but digital is mostly search, like a little bit or whatever that is. So, and then you get TV gets X percentage, and then everything is everything has remained stable. And the thing is that if your media plan is not dramatically, or the way your business engages customers is not dramatically different than it was just 5 years ago, you are missing a big opportunity. You're going to get left behind, and people aren't looking at that risk. They're not looking at that risk, like not evaluating that risk properly.
Right. I mean, and just recently the Oscars were this week, this weekend, and you bring up traditional media, how people are still focusing on that so heavily and missing these opportunities of digital media. I know exactly what you mentioned is, if I'm watching traditional TV, which I don't, and I feel like that trend is going down and down more and more, less people are getting cable, all those things. But if I am, it's so true. If a commercial comes on, I'm now onto my phone, checking my socials, checking in, seeing if anybody emailed me, text me, whatever. I'm not physically watching them. They're really boring. The traditional type of advertising is boring to people. But it just shows too, like I said, the Oscars were on. I didn't even know that they were happening, for one. But 50, there was a 58% drop from last year in the viewership. To me, that is a sign of exactly the dangers. Some people might make up some BS about it, but that to me is an indicator that those viewers are somewhere else now.
And here's the thing. I think just what people have to digest is that people have not digested how much the world has changed, right? Like when you look at sort of, they're living it, but they haven't digested how much the world has changed. If you want to reach consumers, particularly in North America, particularly in America, all of your consumers are getting most of their information, the majority of their entertainment, from personality-based media sources. So TikTokers, like TikTokers, YouTubers, Instagrammers, and it's funny because so I've been focusing my professional life right now on developing the TikTok creator ecosystem, and it's funny how many brands I talk to. They know that there's something there. They know that it is interesting, but what is shocking about it is that, again, is just how they're not taking it seriously enough when it's just eating up all of their consumers' time. And all that's going to happen is, I'm watching right now how there are brands that are embracing the platform, embracing the creators on the platform, not just the media. Like when you call TikTok, and they're great, they want to sell you more of their media products and everything. Right. And the thing is, Where the power is in media right now is on the personalities that are providing this, personalities involved.
Yeah.
We're fortunate enough. We represent a wonderful creator by the name of by the way, Michael Lee, right? Michael Lee almost has
Nearly
almost
50.
50 million. Yeah, nearly
Mm-hmm.
50 million subscribers on his channel. But when we talk to our creators and we see Michael Lee is like a mini TV studio, a mini TV, like not even mini. It's a major. It's
A
mini because
major.
there's only
Yeah.
four people working on it. But his reach is half 50% of the size of ESPN. ESPN
Exactly.
at its peak had 100 million people, and but yet we're not at the stage where businesses in America place the significance and importance as they should on
Mm-hmm.
influencers, and as the way they're going.
Yeah. No, exactly. And like, going back to the Oscars or whatnot, this is what's interesting too, is the Oscars are filled with all the traditional celebrities that we know of, that our generation were like inspiring to be like, that we really looked up to watching them on screen. But now that the personalities have changed, people are wanting more relatable content within these influencers who are just showing up on camera being themselves, not scripted. But it just shows too, like the Oscars, this is what's surprising, and a lot of people don't understand this, is it only had 9.8 million viewers, which is maybe seem like a lot for a lot of these people. But if we go to Michael Lee and we look at the average viewership that comes to his channel, blows the Oscars away. I mean, the Oscars wouldn't even show up on a rating list probably, compared to let's throw the even YouTubers and TikTokers in the mix of how many views they get for their channels. The Oscars would just be like somewhere down in the middle, maybe, which is crazy. And a lot of people don't understand that. They're not putting that
putting it
sight
into
on
context. And the
exactly.
thing is that, and that's fine with everything that is relatively new, but like right now people are saying, well, right now what's also happening is that how people are justifying, well, yeah, this person reaches a lot more than the Oscars, so they haven't digested the number. What they're also trying to do is they put more value on that viewer, like the Oscar viewer versus the, let's say, someone watching social media. And that's just and that's simply a mistake. And time will, I remember, so I am old enough to remember the first .com crash in 98. I was working at a .com startup at the time. And I remember I went to an airline executive and I offered to give them a online campaign for free. I'm like, okay, yep, the crash and everything, I believe that this online advertising thing is going to work for you. What would happen if I gave you the campaign for free as a test? And the person said, he said, I wouldn't even take it for free because digital is dead. Digital advertising is dead. He said that in 98. And clearly he was wrong. But what he just didn't take it as important as seriously as he should have. And that always happens with new forms of media. And what makes this harder for people to digest how much change has happened, because everything is so segmented now, right? Like you could, the one of the challenges of challenge is not the right word, but I'll use that word. One of the challenges of digital creators is that it's very fragmented. So someone will be the most important person to 10 million people, bigger reach than the number one rated show on TV. But the brands, like your brand or your company, may never have heard of that person, even though that person has more reach than any other media format that you're engaging, right? And that happens a lot. That's happening a lot, and will continue to happen a lot more as in the future, and as we go on.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think that's when it comes to us as an agency, it's true. You mentioned these names and they're like, we don't know who they are. So why would we spend on them? And so there's a lot of education that is happening within the space, especially, YouTube has been around long enough. The names have been circulating for a long time now, where they are almost like traditional media, where these advertisers all know their names, where TikTok is still fresh, that there's so much education in the space. But I do believe, like you even believe this too, that it's coming where these names will be relevant to the rest of the population.
Well, 100%. Hold on. The thing is, so I have a phrase that I'm saying, like, it's funny. So during last year, when a lot of the when everybody was worried that TikTok was going to get canceled, one of the things that, what everybody was like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber, or I want to be an actor, or I want to be this. And I'm like, no. TikTok, like Hollywood and the regular entertainment is actually coming, and it's starting to happen, coming towards these TikTok creators and these short form creators. Because that's what we're watching on TikTok. Why I find it, the creators on there, so fascinating is that when you see that, that is the future of all media forms when you're looking at it right now.
Right.
On demand, really good algorithm, short form content, and you're able to scroll quickly and find what you need. So learning how to communicate with people in that context, that's the future of. It's not even the future. That's what's happening right now. All of this stuff, all of these things are happening right now, and that's the thing of we're trying to trying to go out and talk to all these companies, because it's hard to change.
Yep.
And then even the metrics that they are using to to say, oh well, this is how much engagement, this is how much is this. And I don't mean to pick on TV, but I'm like, what like, this is how many gross this is how many gross rating points we got on TV. I'm like, that's such a, like, I don't believe that stat is relevant anymore.
Right.
Because no one watches TV the way they used to, even 5 years ago. Like, forget about 10 years ago. We're talking about 5 years ago. And most people have not changed the way, most companies have not changed the way in a dramatic way, like as dramatic as they should.
Yep.
Like if you look at their media plans or how they engage, it hasn't changed as it should as in the last decade.
Right.
Again, it's decade old. Whereas if you look at 10 years ago, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, Facebook was still just getting humming. 10 years ago, there was no TikTok. 10 years ago, Instagram wasn't a real thing. And like, these are the things that are driving media right now. But yet, if you look at your media plan and you look at how you engage your brand, you have added aspects, but it still looks more like it did 10 years ago than it looks like it should have changed.
Yeah, and we're seeing that too with I believe with small businesses who have grasped the concept that things have changed, and now they're moving more toward being relevant in 2021. And it's kind of crazy to see some of these brands emerge now and being the face of things because they understand the change. Where some of these, like, these old school, Fortune 500 media plans or even traditional marketing are still so old school, and you really can see it, like you can feel it. And I believe, that just because you're big doesn't mean you're not in danger of, and so there is an aspect that you have to kind of learn the new strategies out there, the new ways of people are consuming. And, we're all on our, like, that's where we are. We're on our phone. Even the older people, I used to work in healthcare, and I'd go into the hospital rooms, and there would be the elderly, and they would still be on their phone, even themselves. Yes, some of them would be watching the news on TV, but they also had a cell phone.
Yeah, everyone, 100%. The phone is the most important. The phone is the most important media device that's available, that is out there, and that's that. And you know what? I don't look at. We spend a lot of time talking to traditional companies and everything, and I don't look at them. I don't necessarily have a lot of judge. I don't look at them with a lot of judgment. Like it's hard to make like the reward structure in a larger company is not necessarily to make dramatic fast change, right?
Right.
It's about testing. It's about this. Testing. It's just that in these times, what's happening is that the pace of change is happening so quickly that they're getting left behind, and you're seeing more examples of, there's a great example with, I believe it is Sherwin-Williams, where I'll look it up, but if I'm mistaken, you could correct it in post in production there. But I believe it's with Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams had an employee, and his name was Tony, and he created a TikTok channel called Toaster Paints. Okay, Toaster Paints grew to something like 1 million subscribers on TikTok. It was the largest paint community in the world, not just on TikTok, in the entire world. You can't find another example where 1 million people want to go and talk about paint. What he would do, he'd go in the back of the Sherwin-Williams store, mix different types of paint colors, show how Sherwin-Williams mixed the paint, do all of that type of stuff. And it gathered over 1 million users. You cannot find a paint enthusiast, like a house paint enthusiast community larger than that anywhere. So the founder of the channel, Tony something, he would last say, what he did was he went to Sherwin-Williams and presented this findings to the marketing team, and he thought he was going to be celebrated. He thought he was going to be a hero. He thought they'd throw him a parade, right? He thought that they were going to throw him a parade, and they fired him. And they fired him because they said, well, you know, we didn't approve this use of our brand. We don't believe in TikTok, all of those things. And then it became a PR disaster. The community of 1 million people, when Tony told them that he got fired, of Sherman, like they were Sherwin-Williams paint enthusiasts who were Gen Z going to buy cake. They were like, what the hell? What's going on? It turned into a PR disaster. And then what ended up happening was that he used that attention, he used that energy, and started his own paint brand, Toadster Paints. And it's just what's sad about that. And again, I don't say this with judgment at Sherwin-Williams, but when you don't change and recognize the change of the world so quickly, and in that case, the lesson was A, influencers are important, but B, in the new world with personality-based media and the feedback loop, you don't actually have true ownership. Like you don't have full ownership of your brand. You share ownership of your brand with all the other stakeholders. So with your employees, with your with your consumers, and all those things. When you don't recognize the world that we're in and you don't recognize the change, what happens again is you make a forced error like that, and you have a marketing landmine, and because it's different and new, and you haven't digested the change quickly, you basically try to blow up the #1 house paint enthusiast community in the world. That's crazy. Right? Like, it's just nuts, you know?
Totally. And the crazy thing is these communities are so strong, like connection, that they're like, fine, buy Sherwin-Williams. Now they're like going to be like, they're going to remember that forever. And next time they're in the store, they're going to pick a different brand because of what they did to that guy that they fell in love with, to learn and inspire them to paint new colors and things like that. Because we see it all the time. These creators create such a strong community that would, if something happens negatively, their audience feels it as well. Like they're almost living it with them. So they're going to make choices, and you know, it's crazy, but there's opposite spectrums. And I kind of wanted to share this story too, is like companies that are making the change with the way things are. So there was an influencer, Carly, she posted a video teaching people how to properly use shaving creams to shave their cooch. Like, I have to say this because it's actually part of their branding, but it sounds a little crazy. But this is like a really cool example is, she made a video and telling people like, look, ladies or guys, even, you don't want to get razor bumps. Like, you got to use this. This is the best thing. And she kind of, used a lot of profanity even within the video, which may have put off brands in the past. Like, oh, great. But they embraced it and realized that they looked through the comments for one and saw so many people embracing what she was saying and saying, okay, I'm going to go purchase this product. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to use this. This is amazing. So what the company did was actually redevelop their packaging to put her quote on there saying, bless your, literally, like they bleeped it out, but it says, bless your fucking cooch, what she says, but it says it on the packaging, which is a bold move for them. But
and the thing is, but here's the thing,
smart,
and you're gonna find out, like brands are going, like, brands are going to find out with all of this change and everything, is that the old playbooks, like, I don't even know if you have the option to play it safe. Like, I don't know if you can get attention if you don't embrace these things, because there's a lot of look, like, I will be the first one to tell you, I've lived it firsthand. There are a lot of risks with personality. So I use the word influencers because, like, I actually don't like it as a descriptive term, but I use it all the time because, like, as soon as I say it, people know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But depending on personality-based media, there's a lot of risks associated with it. So I like, there's a lot of brand safety issues. There's a lot of this, and I understand why people are scared. But that company, like embracing that is the only way you're going to break through the clutter and get attention and move your brand. And basically, it goes back to the point that I said in this new world, especially driven by personality-based media, you actually don't have sole ownership of your brand anymore. You don't control that. The young creator that was, and I don't even think she was a creator at the time. The young, I
no, she's still relatively small.
Person.
Yeah.
So right. So that particular person, that influencer or creator or that particular person was putting out these messages anyway. It was resonating with people anyway. So you have a choice. You can ignore it, you can try and stop it, or you could try and figure out how you can take advantage of it and establish an authentic connection with a group of consumers. So that was well played.
I agree. And I do like you said, she wasn't just this really big influencer where people might think, oh, was she paid to say it? No, she was a real person just sharing her message. And I think that's what related to a lot of audiences as well. But that's what I mean. Like that piece of content played out probably more financially for them too than them making some traditional piece of advertising that we would have saw.
Yeah.
So it's just,
and the problem with advertising, like here's the thing. And I've worked with, I have been blessed to have worked with some fantastic creative people, but like everything's so subjective, right? Like so like when you see all the awards at Cannes and all that type of stuff, it's because a group of small people, like this group of people, says based on our experience that this piece of creative is great. That's all BS. Like okay, that's dope. I love going to get all that stuff. It's great. But like, how do you know? Do you really know? Just because you said it's great and whatever. Whereas where a lot of these creative ideas are coming from and driving out is like someone like this, like, you know what I mean? Like an independent creator.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're seeing changes within advertising as a whole because like TikTok's main motto, I mean, they even say, don't make ads, make TikTok. So this is great, but I really believe that the future of advertising is going to fit in meaning I feel we won't feel like we're so inundated with ads because if it's done right, it's all going to just be seamless with everything we're watching, which is fun for everybody. So everyone's going to enjoy it and not be like bombarded with all these things they hate. And I think TikTok's done a really good job with that, is really educating. So I don't know. I actually have the recording I can share with you, but I recently went to a TikTok online virtual event, which talked about marketing for the future. And there was businesses all within it and they were asking questions, but TikTok really was focused heavily on, and it was mostly people looking to purchase advertising within the app. And the TikTok people that were conducting it really drove the message of saying, look, if your piece of content looks too traditional, they won't accept it which is kind of cool to think that they said that they wouldn't even accept it. And they even warned, if you go ahead and do purchase this, it's not going to get the organic reach that you want because people don't want to see it. So it's just interesting to show that. And that's where I believe there's going to be a blockage for these traditional media when they're looking to purchase these things with their whole old school team is going to get there and they're going to be like, this isn't going to work. And they're like, what are you talking about? And so they're going to have to turn to learning these new things. So, and it's coming. The thing is, as the world evolves, we move faster. So maybe, 10 years ago, an idea could come up and it might have taken a few years to get there and it would be no problem. But now we're so technology driven. You have a short window to kind of catch up now. It just moves so quick. And the further you get behind.
100%. I actually think the most endangered species in business right now is the chief marketing officer or anyone on the marketing team, because they have the most, not endangered species, sorry. The most dangerous job in corporate America right now is being in corporate marketing, whether you're a CMO or you're at the agency and you have a traditional brand or anything, because you're being pulled in two directions. The world is changing at a crazy pace. It's not changing. The world has changed. Has changed. But yet your bosses and the corporate stakeholders and everything has not caught up to that change, right? So it's really challenging. So then it's sort of like, okay, we have to make ads differently. We have to make this differently. And then what they're doing is like, well, let's measure it to how we did it before. When
Right.
that's not, whereas like your consumers don't care. Your consumers don't care. Like your consumers are on TikTok and all of those things. So
Mhm.
that is the way that it has to go. It's just it is crazy because the world has changed so fast. Making someone in traditional marketing, it's the most dangerous job because if this is why it's dangerous. If you don't change, what's going to happen is that you're going to get left behind and you're going to get
Yep.
fired. Everyone,
Yeah.
everyone, if you are every CMO in America, what's going to happen is that in 6 months or 7 months, you do not change your brand rapidly, you're going to get fired.
Mhm.
If you do change quickly, even if it's working, because the work is not like you're not able to define what the new world of success is quickly,
Right.
you may get fired, right? Like you
Yeah.
you might get fired. But I think that the biggest risk is not to act because
Yeah.
and we're and again I don't say it with a lot of judgment. I don't say it with a lot of judgment. I understand that it's not easy, it's hard. I just am telling you that we see the change and people are not digesting the amount of change, and that's what's making the being a brand marketer or or things like that in the world today the most dangerous job in corporate America right now.
Totally. I hear that. Interesting enough too. I talked to my uncle who owns. He basically owns a franchise of a carpeting company in
Mhm.
BC, and the thing is, there's I believe 30 franchises that they own, but the people who own the franchise, like on the board members, and he's on there, and they're all old school. And he actually,
Mhm.
the cool thing is, my uncle's always been very technology driven. He sees the future. He's like, you guys, we have to get on TikTok. And these old school marketers and stuff that are on the chairman, like those guys are like, what? No way. Like, yeah, they dabble in Facebook. That's it, dabbling, not even like full
Right,
on.
right,
They
right.
still are they're still main source, which I talked to my uncle. I was like, well, where do you market? Like, where's your marketing dollars going to? And he said the paper. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well,
Like,
and it's sort of like, and I don't. Again, I'm not saying it like. Look, I'm not even saying. Here's the thing that I would even say. I'm not even saying that like all forms of communication works somewhat. So other than TV, because I still have not met like and anyone out there when you play this, if you could ask your guests, anyone who has seen a TV commercial in the last 3 months, I would just love to know who you are and talk to you and interview you because I'm saying it as a joke, but I actually would because I have not. I don't know anyone who doesn't do anything through a PBR and whatever.
yeah.
But like it's not that I'm sure the paper still they wouldn't be doing it. I know they don't want to change. I'm sure it still drives something. But if you can't see where the world is going and you can't embrace change, all that will happen is that the paper will become increasingly ineffective. And then when it's time for you to pivot to something else, if you're not embracing new things, it might be too, it will probably be too late for your business. And that's why, and I think I spent a lot of my time sounding the alarm. As in, again, it goes to the thing of, okay, we're talking about the paper, and I'm not condemning you, I'm not judging you, I'm not doing those things, but I do want to tell you that you are underestimating. The world is not changing; it has changed.
Yeah.
Period. It has changed. The world is not changing; it has changed, and
Hmm.
this next 12 to 24 months is crucial for every business
Yep.
in the world, but in the country. Every
Yeah.
single business in the country, it is crucial for you because your consumers specifically have changed the most. Have
Exactly.
you? You know, it's funny. We've been spending some time. Like I've been spending some time consulting with and working with some companies that are based in China, right? And what is fascinating about them, or like what's fascinating is just how they use media and how much like how far they are with certain things, right? Like just like you know media consumption and how everything is digital. And if you look around the world, you'll see just how much things have changed in other things. And I think that again, I'll say it. Oh, I know I sound like a broken record over and over again. The world is not changing; it has changed,
Yeah.
and you are underestimating the danger that you are in of just not changing. Like you're not changing drastically enough,
Hmm.
if at all.
Yeah, and the thing is, another thing is this is that, like it or not, but Gen Z is here, and they're
Oh,
in the market of making decisions, buying power, and all these things, and people are not. They almost have in their mindset that they're just little kids nowadays. But do you know Gen Z is already in the place of having their own children at this point? I mean, some of
The
them are
oldest ones
24
are,
years old.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but
And
like,
the crazy, yeah, go ahead. I
oh
didn't
no,
mean
I
to
was
cut
just
you
gonna
off. You
say that
finish
just
your point.
nobody's like, some people still are not thinking of them. They're still thinking like, okay, millennial, Gen X, and all that to market to, but like Gen Z even has more influence on the decision powers in their household,
Mm-hmm,
as consumers, for making decisions for their parents, even the young ones. And I
mm-hmm,
mean,
mm-hmm.
me and you see it. I'm sure your
Yeah,
kids, as
yeah,
same way,
yeah,
has said, I
yeah.
want these things, or this is what I've seen on TikTok. Can I get this? And it happens to
Mm-hmm.
us all the time.
All the
So
time.
yeah,
70% of household purchases in the United States of America is influenced by Gen Z members of the household.
yeah,
And the crazy thing about Gen Z, which should, like, again, the future is not coming, it's here, is that
hmm,
they are extremely different than every other generation before, because every other generation shared a few analog type of traits, as in, they like what like shitter like but Gen Z, they're the first generation that's not, so they're not digital native, they're social native. They're the first ones that that they don't know a world, they have an 8-second attention span. They don't know a world where they have not been able to look up anything, anytime, any place on this
exactly.
device. They don't know a world without 100% on demand entertainment. They don't know a world they don't know a world without an unlimited choice of things. So
Hmm.
they are extremely different, and they don't know a world without influencers and digital creators.
Yep.
The number one career choice for anyone under the age of 20, anyone under the age of 21, the
Yep.
number one career choice in America is they want to be an influencer, YouTuber, or a TikToker, or whatever,
Exactly.
that is. And those are like when I worshiped Michael Jordan, they whoever the star is, the digital creator,
Yep.
they still like LeBron and all this stuff, but like there's a whole category of entertainers, and that's the number one career choice in America. And again, it's just another example of the world changing so dramatically.
Exactly. Anybody who's listening, if you have kids, go ask them what they want to be. All of mine, except for Jasmine, she's the only one. She actually has no idea, but she doesn't want to do anything with influencer market, like
Right, right, right,
anything.
right, right.
But my Jace, my son, he wants to be a gamer on YouTube and Twitch. He wants to be a stream gamer. That's what he wants to do. The cool thing is, though, is that is actually a
It's
option.
possible. And
Yeah.
it's possible. The crazy thing, okay, here's the crazy thing. And I say this, to, like, when you talk to your kids, like, so I get a lot of, nobody on my kids' sports teams, none of the parents really fully understand what I do. So, like, you manage digital talent and all that stuff. And yeah, like, and then the kids say, yeah, he manages so and so, or so and so, or whatever. And their kids know who we work with. But the thing is that, when I was growing up, like being a video gamer was not like being, playing video games. You couldn't be a profession. You could actually make, and it's not a far off profession. It's not the top 1%. You can make a living streaming, like, not just playing video games. In the world today,
Yeah.
anyone with a smartphone, as anyone with a smartphone, and mostly in North America, but anyone with a smartphone has a chance of making a living. Maybe not the great, not the best living. Maybe you're not Civic Sam Che, but everyone has a chance to make a living being an influencer. Everybody,
Yeah.
everybody, like everyone, because you could build a targeted audience, you could do classes, you could do every single, because of the invention of the smartphone and all of the distribution.
Yep.
So when your child says, oh, I would like to be a video gamer, it may not be the right fit for your child, but it is. You can there. It's not like when they say, kids saying, oh, I want to make the NBA. There's no chance.
Yeah.
For most people, there's no chance you're going to make it to the NBA.
Yep.
There's no chance you're going to make it to the MLB. There's no
Exactly.
chance you're going to make it to the NFL. None. And NFL, none, none, none,
Yeah.
none, none. However, there is a very, what I'm saying is, anyone who is willing to put in the time
Yep.
and whatever craft, you can make a living that is
Yes.
comparable to being a teacher, a firefighter, or all those things. You can make a decent living, put a roof over your head in this space. Anybody,
Yeah.
anybody. And I'm
And it
seeing
can
it. I'm
happen
watching it.
right now. Like
Right. Like
you don't
today,
have to be young. Like some of these
today.
people are like, I missed my chance. You didn't. That's what's so
Right.
cool. There's a lot of people emerging, even boomers, who have now created a social presence and are on there teaching the things from back in the day that they wish that they had the opportunity to have a
Right.
digital, right? Like so cool.
Anyone can make a digit as if like so because of like anyone has the opportunity to make a living. Now, I can't promise like I everyone doesn't there's not an opportunity necessary for everyone to be, make the millions of dollars and all that stuff. I don't
Right.
know about that, but I will tell you that everyone has the opportunity to make a living in this space doing things that you love. So
Right.
that's why what, it's a brilliant time, especially it depends on in the world where you are or whatever, but anyone in this country, if you have a phone, you have an opportunity to make a living doing something that you love, as if you're willing to build a community. There's an opportunity. Like, it's not perfect and all those things, but there's definitely an opportunity. And the thing is, what I love about it, it's chaotic. It causes a ton of problems. It makes it so that it makes it very, very, very hard for business. We have to deal with a bunch of different things. However, I prefer this format because it makes it the we are living as close to a meritocracy as possible, where anyone can get a shot. It's not some
Mhm.
guy in a room or whatever it is determining,
Exactly.
well, you get a chance to put out your show, you don't get a chance to. I love, like, you love baseball cards. You could do it. Guess what? You don't even, you could do TikToks. You can produce it on your phone about baseball cards. You have a shot of building not millions. Let's you have a shot of getting couple thousand people. You could turn that in. Maybe you do a course. Maybe you
Yep.
do this. Maybe you do that.
Exactly.
Everyone's got a shot, and this is a fantastic time for that because that's never happened before in human history. So this is
Mhm.
a fantastic time. Like, it's full of opportunity.
Exactly. And lastly, I kind of want to bring up before we kind of wrap this up, but this is exactly the same thing as these shows, like let's say American Idol or things. Most of the people that are new on these American Idol or The Voices, I don't even hear of them, but who I do hear of are the people being found on TikTok and making it to the top
Right,
Billboard charts.
right, right. No,
And
hundred
nobody
percent.
was telling them who could make it or not. Like nobody was sitting
Right.
there saying you're not good enough for Hollywood.
Right.
That
And that's what's turning everything upside down. And again, it causes a lot of problems, but I kind of love it because, like,
Mhm.
there's no gatekeepers. Now, there are good there's negatives to that and there are positives to that. But right now the gatekeepers are the gatekeepers have lost power, and they're continuing to lose more and more power, and they will
Mhm.
continue to lose more and more power. Well, the people choose. The people decide.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going.
Yep, I agree. I think that's gonna be
Yeah.
the future, like, the people the people like it because they have the choice to choose, whereas
100% choice.
before yeah,
Yeah, and
exactly.
that will and that and again, it goes back to when talking about, being a CMO is the most dangerous job in corporate America right now because you're going to get fired. And it's because the media landscape is havoc right now, and it will continue to be more havoc because, and I think it's a good thing. If havoc is a good thing because it's now the people are choosing. The people are choosing who the stars are. The people are choosing what media they want to consume. The people are choosing where the attention goes to. And Hollywood could try, and they do. They're able to get Marvel out, like they're able to do a few blockbusters, but even then, the power that they're having is getting more and more and more and more and more limited, and it's going to be in the hands of the people and these individual personality based media creators.
Absolutely. 100% Duke. I mean, we'll see this as we go on and anybody who's tuning into this podcast will be able to learn more as I continue on having guests to be able to see this journey, which is crazy. Duke, I wanted to wrap it up by just saying, where can people find you, because I know you have so much more content to share that you're going to be teaching a lot of people all these insight things along the way. So where can they find you?
Well, Kyle, I was not prepared for that. You can find me at I am Duke McKenzie. So I am Duke McKenzie. I am DukeMcKenzie.com. I am Duke McKenzie on TikTok. I am Duke McKenzie on Instagram. And it was a great, you know, I've been listening to you. You've been great at putting out this podcast every week. I know it's a grind. You've done a great job. Thanks a lot for having me on. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. And everyone who's listening, definitely go check out Duke, especially on his TikTok. He's going to be coming up with some new fire content over there.
There we go. Some dances. You guys are going to see me jam.
I'm keeping him accountable there in that space. But if anybody's interested in following him, I made it really simple for you. Just go to the description notes of this podcast episode. You'll find a link everywhere there to be able to follow him really easily and learn some more insight knowledge of Duke. But thank you again for everybody tuning into the show. Be sure to drop a review if you can on this podcast. That would make such a huge impact on me and the show to be able to help us grind, get new guests, and be able to grow. So appreciate everyone tuning in today. And yeah, Duke, thanks so much for your time.
Hey, take care. Thank you. Talk to you soon.